Good afternoon, champs. Catching you on my lunch break. Some nice sun. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am going to be tackling a small life hack for your young people who just got into employment, who are looking to buy cars, and the insurance part of it, the insurance aspect of it, right? So I'm going to be taking you through two policy documents for my car, and then just showing you the basics, what you need to be asking when you get your insurance quote, right? And I saw a gap in the market. I'm not seeing any videos about that. All I'm seeing is a bit about like your banking, which banks offer this and that, the rates on your cars, the rates on your home loans, the banking fees. But there's very little on, now I have the car, or just before I get the car, what insurance should I get? What is an excess? What does this mean? What is liability? What is third party? All of that. So that's what I'm going to be taking you through, so that when you get the insurance quote, you ask the right questions and you're more informed. Do you understand what I mean? So that you get to protect your asset, because that's essentially what insurance is. You protect your asset, and should anything happen, in the eventuality that anything happens, you know that you're covered, right? Because we're young, we've got like spending power, but at the same time, you don't want to buy something that you've already bought because you didn't have it covered. Okay, so come along, and then I'm going to take you through the two policy documents. Drop your experiences for or with insurance below. Let me hear what you're thinking, ask your questions, and yeah, let's go. Hi, I'm going to start with the King Price policy schedule, and I've hidden a lot of my personal information for obvious reasons. So this is the policy schedule that they sent me. I'm very happy with King Price, because whenever you call them or you request to call in the app, and then they ask you for changes, you discuss that, they'll send you the updated policy schedule almost immediately. I'm going to go through just a couple of the really important facts that we need to be aware of. Okay, so the policy start date. So the policy start date has to be on the day that you're fetching the vehicle from the dealership. That's very important, because if anything happens from you leaving the dealership and getting home, then you need to know that you're covered, right? You want to be safe with your new baby. So this was my total premium, and this was Sasria, that 2 Rand 02, which will form the part of the premium. So it doesn't, you don't really opt in or opt out. It's just a line item that you'll see in your premium. So that's the total premium that I was paying monthly. Alright, so make and model, that's my car. You just need to check that it's the correct one. The year is 2022. I've covered my VIN number. Use is private, not business, so I had to be specific about that because it is a buggy. License obtained 2021. So ideally you'd have your license as long as possible, because the longer you've had your license, then the better you are a driver. That's how the insurer works it out. So I've been driving since 2017, but I had a learner's license. So I only officially got my license last year in June or July. So that sort of counts against me. So if you're still a student, try and get your learners, try and get your license, so that when you do start to get the car, you've got some years on you, so that your premium goes down. So I mentioned that I'm working from home, because that's obviously in my benefit, because I'm on the road a bit less, so my insurer would want to know that, so that my premium can be reduced a bit, right? Comprehensive cover, what that means is it covers everything. It covers myself, it covers any car that I may hit, it covers any objects that I might hit. So that's what comprehensive cover means. Third party is the one where it covers only the person that I hit and not myself, right? So if I'm in an accident with you, then my insurer would pay for your car, but not for mine. So that's what third party would look like. But this is comprehensive. My insurer would fix my car, and it also fix yours, right? Optional cover, so I got my radio insured, I got car hire, class A. They ask you different types of cars you'd want. Shortfall, I didn't take any shortfall cover. So what shortfall cover means is, if my car is covered at a retail level, like it says here, the retail value, let's say the retail value is 200,000 and my car loan is 240,000. Shortfall cover would basically be me paying a premium that would cover the 40,000 difference. In the event that something happens to my car and the insurer only covers the 200,000, but I'd still owe the bank the 40,000. So I didn't choose to take that out. Little things in tires, scratch a dent, I didn't take out. Tire and rim. Hail cover, specified accessories, and then the canopy, smash and grab. So I was basically giving them a what's the name, a line by line of what the makeup of my car basically. So I have roadside assist, so if something happens to my car in the middle of the road, I can just call them. Accident assist, medical assist. This is the liability to other parties, so up to 5 million. So funny story, so when I moved to Joburg, I was driving a 2008 Opel Corsa Light and I didn't have insurance, right? And then I started going to your Sandton cities and I'd see the cars that I would park next to. And it hit me that if something were to happen to me and I were to scratch one of these cars, I would literally have to sell my car to be able to pay for a scratch on these cars. So for me, liability to other parties is the reason that I got insurance. Not to say I'm a careful driver, but I was like, okay, if something happens and then I lose my car, I'll be okay, you know, with public transport. But if I were to like scratch a Porsche or dent a Land Rover or a Range Rover, how do I recover from that? So that's why I went and was like, okay, let me actively shop for insurance, and this is why I'm here. Okay, so daytime parking, they would just want the kind of parking. So I park in a complex with access control. If you've got covered parking, mention that, because covered parking is best. If you've got a garage, that's even better because it protects your car from the elements. So that's what they're trying to assert in here. Again, the safer your parking, both nighttime and daytime, the lower your premium is going to be, right? My car isn't imported, it's white, it's code 1, it's new, or it was registered once, it's brand new. So I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to send pictures to them or to King Price. I didn't have to add anything in terms of, you understand, the vehicle, the condition of the car, because it was brand new. Taken delivery, no, I hadn't taken delivery yet. Average monthly mileage, okay, off the top of my head, I was just like 500 Ks. Like right now, I can see that it is roughly 500 Ks, but back then I was just guesstimating off of my Corsa Light on how I was driving over there. I've got a Code B license, don't have any endorsements around. So license endorsements is if my license says I can only drive in automatic, or I can only drive during the day if I've got eye problems. So I don't have any of that. I haven't made any modifications to the car. Yes, it's financed. At the time, it was financed by MFC, right, which is Nedbank. But I moved to Westbank, and then I moved my insurance as well. And I will show you the updated insurance. I'll show you the updated insurance package from FNB, because I moved my car and my insurance. Regular driver's incidents, I haven't been in an accident in the last 3 years. I've had insurance for 7 to 12 months at this point in time. Never had a claim. That's also quite important, how long you've had your insurance or uninterrupted insurance, and obviously any previous incidents that counts towards how good of a driver you are, right? So car inspection, unless your car is brand new, it's a condition of cover that you haven't inspected. You can download our app from your app store and do it yourself, or take it to an approved inspection center. So that's what I was trying to, you know, allude to here when I was saying it's brand new, so I didn't have to do anything more, right? Car security device. Okay, so because I drive a high-risk car, I had to have a tracker, and King Price actually asked me for the tracker documentation, so I sent that through, right? Okay, so now we get to the excess. So a basic excess, my basic excess was 6.5. What does that mean? It means that if I get into an accident and the accident is 5,000 Rand, the insurer isn't going to pay. I have to pay the first 6,500 Rand. So if the claim is 5,000, I pay all of it. If the claim is 7,000, I'll pay 6,500, my insurer will pay 500. That's what an excess means. So when they give you the initial quote over the phone, they will play around with the numbers, right? So if you say, if they give you an initial one of 2,000 and your excess is 5,000, and you're like, okay, can we go lower? Typically what they'll do is they'll increase your excess, and that will decrease your premium, right? So just be mindful of that. If you've got a number in mind that you've budgeted for insurance, be mindful that when they're decreasing that amount that you want to pay monthly, it has to be compensated somewhere, right? Because it's a risk return type of situation. So specified car accessories. So I specified everything. I didn't do anything extra, right? Car warranty. This is basically telling me what it covers, right? Window replacement max is 750. My radio is 750, etc., etc. So if something happens to my radio is about 2K. If something happens to my radio, right, and it's stolen in the car, I would have to pay 750, and then the insurer is gonna pay the balance, right? If something happens to my window, I would have to pay the first 750, and then my insurer will pay the second, the rest, or the balance rather. So that's what an excess means, right? And if you want a low installment, typically they'll give you a higher excess. And now what this means is, this is money that you have to have on hand in that emergency fund, right? Short term, it can be cash, it can be money market, that's money you have to have on hand. Because if something happens to your car and you go and you get, you get a mechanic, the mechanic says, okay, it's 50,000. Fair and fine, your insurance is going to cover you. But your insurer is saying, if you claim for 50,000, you are going to have to pay the first 6,500, and we will pay the 43,500 after that. So be very mindful when you're choosing a high access, because it affords you a lower premium. Be mindful of the fact that this is money that you always have to have on hand. Otherwise, your car isn't getting fixed until you have that money, right? So additional excess, this is something that you have to be mindful of, especially if you're letting other people drive your car. These are to be paid per incident over and above your basic excess if applicable. So if the incident driver is not me, the regular driver, and the person is younger than 25 or has had a license for less than 2 years, then I would have to pay the 4.5 in addition to that. So it would be 6.5 plus 4.5, so it would be 11,000. So if something happens to my car, right, and I was still on this insurance plan, and the claim is 50,000, I would go to King Price and say, hey, I was in a car accident. The auto trader people are saying 50,000, please pay. King Price would be like, okay, cool. Give us the 11,000 rand first, and we'll pay the 39,000. So do you understand what access means now? And then if the incident occurred outside of SA and the car is not drivable, I would have to pay 7,500 above the 6.5. With regards to a car claim when the accident occurs in the first 3 months of cover, 3.5 above the 6,500. So the additional access is something that you have to be mindful of as well, something to budget for. And then you get non-motor access. So for buildings, home contents, additional contents cover, unspecified portable possessions, etc., etc., etc. All right. Okay, and then it's just information that they're basically asking. Try to be as honest as possible to prevent them not paying out when you actually need them to do so. Have you ever been found guilty of a criminal offense? No. Alternative insurance? No. Cancelled by insurer? No. Refused renewal of insurance? No. Any special terms or conditions imposed to you by any insurer in your policy? No. King Price care details. So that's it for King Price, right? I've taken you through the important bits. I quite enjoyed King Price. I think the thing I enjoyed the most was their app, that request to call back. I really enjoyed that, and I enjoyed that I could get like quotes for different cars. Especially when I was still looking for a car, I enjoyed that I was able to do that on the app. It was really, very helpful. So yeah, most important, just the policy date. Make sure that the policy, not necessarily the start date, but I have it here at the bottom here. Make sure that the cover start date is the same as the day that you're picking it up from the dealership. If there's a lag on your insurance, I know you're excited to go pick up your car, but rather wait. If there's a lag on your insurance and you're excited to pick up your car, rather wait. You don't want to drive out of a dealership with an uninsured car, especially if it's still financed. So just be mindful of that. And I'm going to take you through the FNB one now, right? Okay. So this is the FNB Insurance. I've taken snapshots because I wasn't able to hide my personal information on the PDF. So I've also insured a Nissan with a retail value. It doesn't specify, but then I've paid, the retail value of the car contributes 1,000 rand to the premium. Temporary transport is about 104, so that's the car hire we saw on the other side as well. Roadside assistance is also included. That Sasria is also included, also at about 2,000. And then you can see that my premium went down by about 300 when I moved to FNB Insurance, as opposed to when I was at King Price. So you can see my reason for moving. So there's my car. So I started this on the 1st of July. My excess went down dramatically. It was previously 6.5 and now it's 3.5, which is more palatable. So again, it's comprehensive cover. So there's it, it's 1,105, right? You make sure that the vehicle model variant is exactly what you want it to be or what it was. Vehicle use, very important. Work from home, that decreases my premium. Why? Because it means I travel less, so less chances of being in an accident. Nighttime parking, that's my address. If you live in a really safe area, then it decreases your monthly premium. If you live in what they deem to be a high-risk area, it increases your premium. So that's something to be mindful of as well, especially if you've got a high-risk car, such as myself. So I had to add a tracker. Yeah, so I just confirmed that I do have that there. Canopy, so these are just my extras. My canopy, my session grab, my tow bar, and then my regular driver. I'm the regular driver. Code B license. My license was issued in 2021. Year since I've had uninterrupted insurance was also 2021. And then claim history 0, right? Okay, so this just specifies the type of car hire I would get in the event that, you know, my car's in the shop. Okay, so endorsements, so tracking requirements. These are basically T's and C's, things that I have to have in order for this policy to be valid. So I have to fit it with the tracking device, otherwise the insurer won't pay for any theft or hijacking claims. Additional excess, again, if I'm less than 25, or the person who's driving has a license less than 2 years, then there's additional 2.5 above my 3.5 access, right? And then multiple claimants, if I become a multiple claimant based on size type, then they'll notify me as a customer, and an additional access may be, you know, apply for future claims only, right? And then, okay, so keys and locks, I'd have to pay R1,000 first before they help me out with that. Glass and windscreen repair, I don't have to pay an excess, whereas for that king price one I have to pay $750 up front. Glass or windscreen replace, max of basic excess, or R1,000, right? If the incident driver is not the noted regular driver, they $2,500 above my 3.5. And then you've got more extensions, towing and storage up to 3K, logs up to 2 claims per year, so don't knock yourself in. Repatriation up to 50K, that's if I go to the country or leave the country or somewhere and they need to fetch my car for me. Emergency expenses for accommodation, 500 per person per night. If I get stuck somewhere on a drive. Emergency repairs, 10K. Vehicle modification following disability, up to 100K. That is very important. I mean, you don't know what life holds, and modifying a vehicle can be quite pricey. So I thought that was quite useful. Unspecified portables, medical cost. So these are limitations, not excesses. So they won't pay more than this. Medical cost up to 10K per incident. Trauma counseling. Third-party liability, same as king price, that 5 million, right? If I scratch a Porsche at Sandton City. General exclusions, when they will not cover me. I don't know, can I zoom this in a bit? Yeah. So they won't pay any amount, including claims, benefits, or premiums in the case where there's a loss or damage to, insure property related to your war, invasion, civil commotion, like the strikes I spoke to, military uprising, any legal liability, loss of damage to arising from mining operations. It's a lot. It's a lot. Make sure you go through this. Any loss of damage caused by viruses, Trojans, loss, damage, cost of expense directly arising or in connection to theft under false pretense and fraud. So it's a lot. Just make sure you're aware of those general exclusions. On 6. Okay, so 7. This sums it up nicely. I'm covered for accidental damage, theft or hijacking, natural disasters, fire and explosion, towing, roadside, third party, that's the 5 million. My windscreen is covered. My locks and keys, damage caused by animals, like if I'm driving in the Eastern Cape, there's a lot of roads that have, that are close to the farms. I'm covered for emergency repairs. I'm covered for emergency medical assistance, vehicle modification after an incident, repatriation, so them fetching my car if I'm out of the country, trauma counseling, emergency accommodation expenses if I'm stuck in the middle of nowhere, right? So this also quite, summarizes it quite nicely. You get comprehensive, and then you get third party, which is the one I spoke to, and then you get third party with fire and theft. So this is what I'm covered for. I think the only thing that isn't that's optional is temporary transport, which I did take up at about 104, which adds to my premium. And then unspecified, unspecified portables. And then my accessories are covered because I also ticked them, right? Or I also mentioned them there, the tow bar, the canopy, etc., etc. So that's the option I took. And that's basically it. These are my 2 policy schedules. I've taken you through the FNB one. I've taken you through, let me just zoom this out. I've taken you through the FNB one, and I've taken you through the King Price one, and that's basically what it entails. That's how you read a policy document, and those are the type of questions they'll ask you when you're going in for it. So just make sure you understand everything. We're getting cars, we're excited, make sure we're insured, so that if anything happens, we're covered. You understand? You have to protect your assets. You have to protect your assets. It's the least you can do, because you never know what the future holds. Thank you, everyone. Please check out my other videos. I have tons of stuff under the Money Hacks playlist. And please comment down here if you have anything to say or add, or any ideas about what you'd like me to cover next. I would really appreciate that.